We had microphone. This is our second time turning on this live here. I took the cap off here. We got this fire started. We got some good dry wood in there. And man, that fire is raging right there. Just want y'all to be able to see that fire, that good fire. Okay? Before we stick this stuff on there. So we getting ready to wash this rice. Alright. I'm showing you how I do my rice. Alright. Let me just make sure y'all got a good view of what's going on. Can you hear me? Speculum Richie, the mechanic, man. Can you hear me? I need to know. I need a sound check, man. Can we get a sound check? Y'all good? I need to know. Can y'all hear before we get started? Because the fire is raging. I need to get going. All right. Somebody let me know. 5x5. Yeah. I just want to make sure y'all can hear. Might give y'all like back up and give y'all a better view. You know, if y'all got mic check, mic check. Is the mic going good? I need to know. Is the microphone working or no? Good or no good? Microphone check. I need to know. Is microphone good or no good? Because it says it's good. I don't know. I need to know whether it's working or not. 100%. Okay. Okay. We're good. So we're good. All right. We're back. Okay. So I just lit the fire, put some kindling in there, and we got some dry wood in there, some good pieces. All right, get ready to put some thicker pieces in there. We got one thick piece in there, and we got some scrap wood that I'm just like finding in the backyard. I got a ton of this stuff in the backyard, like these pieces like this right here, a bunch of scrap pieces. So I definitely want to run hot in the beginning, and then I'm gonna bring it down to a simmer. But for now, I definitely want to keep that fire going and run hot. So we're gonna throw some more pieces in there, and we're gonna run real hot with the cap off. All right, so we're gonna make some rice, and to boil the rice, because we want it to boil, so I'm gonna run it real hot. And then we're gonna run it with the cap, this cap right here. I'm gonna put the cap on for it to simmer. All right, while we prepare the rice. So I'm gonna put some water. I'm gonna rinse this rice. So we're gonna rinse the rice first, and then we're gonna put everything on. So we're gonna measure it out. So I don't know how y'all make rice. I'm gonna show y'all one way how I make rice, and we're gonna do what we do. All right, and we just making some white rice. All right, make sure everybody, we tuned in. We got that fire going. Getting ready to close the box. All right, so our flue is heated up. If y'all want to see the smoke up top, y'all can see the smoke up top. I'll turn the camera so y'all can see the smoke. But we got a clear pan right here. What kind of rice we doing? We doing Carolina rice today. Sometimes I do Uncle Ben. Sometimes we do, different rice. All right, but I always wash the rice. Some people don't wash their rice, but I wash mine. All right, so we got a ratio. I got a favorite ratio of rice. I don't know if y'all got a preferred ratio or like a water to rice ratio, but I got a preferred water to rice ratio. So this is a 1.5 cup measurement. So I'm gonna do 1.5, boom. We're gonna do another 1.5. So it's 3 cups of rice to 5 cups of water. That's my preference. All right. If I'm making rice for my family for a couple days, or I don't want to make just like a serving for the night, I'm doing 3 cups of rice. So we got 3 cups of rice in there. Boom, right? We don't need this anymore. Put the bag away. And we keep bags on bags on bags in case, something happens, a pandemic, who knows, whatever, war, whatever. A lot of things going on in the world. And now we're going to wash this rice. So we got 3 cups of rice in this pan. And let me know, do y'all wash your rice or no? All right? And we're going to wash off some of that starch. I choose to wash off the starch. Let me know if y'all wash y'all rice and wash the starch off your rice. So we got some water right here, right? While this is heating up, we're getting ready to close this door right here. Let's close this door up. Boom. Y'all saw the fire. Fire's going. Fire's going. All right? We want to be efficient, right? So we're going to close that door up. But we're going to keep that top off. So that flame is coming through the top right there. All right, so let's wash this rice. Okay, now let y'all see. For those of y'all that are not familiar with washing your rice, you want to wash your rice. Yeah, I wash. Okay, good. Okay, so we're going in. First round of water. All right, which is why I recommend washing your rice. What do you see? That murky water right there. You see that murky water? It's not clean water. It's not clear water. You got murky water right there. All right, murky water. That's a lot of starch and like starchy flavor on your rice. If you want clean, like good tasting rice, so when you put flavor in it, you put seasons in it, you want to taste the season, you want to taste the flavor, not a bunch of starch. Wash your rice. Okay, so this is round one. Just swigging that around, swirling it around, getting all that starch off of there, and then I strain it off. You know, you can use your lid, you can use whatever you want. You can use your hand, you can use a few different things. You can use a strainer. All right, but first round, we just want to strain off some of that some of that water. Boom. We're gonna strain off. All right, we're gonna drain that off. That's our starchy water right there. You see all that starchy water, right? Straining off right there. Now you don't want to put that lid too close, too far away, and then you start losing your rice. All right. Now I already measured my rice, so I don't want to lose any rice. That's how we doing it. Okay. Now we're gonna do another round. We're gonna do this until the rice runs clean. All right. So it's not like it's just only one round or only two rounds. Once your rice the water starts looking clear, you know, you're in the clear. If the water's clear, you're in the clear. If the water's not clear, you might want to keep washing. This is basic stuff. But we cooking on that wood burning stove. Let me see. We're not running this hot right now. We might want to open this back up because we want that wood fully lit and going. We're gonna open that up for a little bit. That fire damped down, and I gotta open up that vent. That's part of the reason. That vent ain't open in the front. But that fire is about to kick right back up. Let's see what we got going on this rice right here. Something light, man. Something light. We just making rice. Now we cook on this wood burning stove all the time. Every single week. Alright? Our water's still running murky. Water's still running murky. So we're gonna strain that off again. Let's strain that off. Get that up out of there. We don't want murky water rice. Not me. You can do whatever you want. You can have all the starchy rice you want. I'm not doing starchy rice. I want flavorful, good rice. Good rice, you know? Strain that off. We're gonna do one more round. We're gonna wash it one more time. I see where we're at and how much starch we're washing off. We're gonna do that one more time. One more wash. Oh, you see that beautiful fire behind us. That fire is blazing, doing its thing. One more wash on this rice. Get a decent amount of water in there. Yeah. Now what we doing? Let's see how our water's looking. A lot more clear. We can kind of see our rice kind of through that water a little bit now. So this is our last wash right here. This water is nowhere near as murky as when we started. You see that beautiful fire behind us. Look at that. Yeah. It's a beautiful fire. We're only making rice. So let's just say it's 85 degrees outside and you don't want to heat your house up. You got the AC bumping. It's summertime like it is right where I'm at. Exactly the situation and temperature of where I'm at and what I'm doing, because it's about 85 degrees and yeah, I don't want to heat the house up any more than we need to. We got the AC bumping and I got a nice air conditioner bill or a nice electricity bill as of yet. And I don't want to have to increase the bill by cranking up the AC more than I need to. So I don't want to add more expenses than we need, right? Okay, so our rice is washed. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put our pan on the flame here. And I have a bowl of water. This bowl right here is water that is, what do you want to call it? Water that is clean water. The other water is faucet water. So we got filtered water right here. I just put filtered water. So I just put 5 cups of filtered water in there to 3 cups of rice. All right. So 5 cups of filtered water to 3 cups of rice. And that's how I like to do mine. All right. So now we get ready to add our ingredients. Let me make sure our fire is stoked with all the wood that we need. I think we got all the wood that we need. We could add another piece or two just to be sure, but I think we got all the wood that we need in there to bring this to a nice boil. I need one more piece. Add this little piece in there. We're gonna slide that one in there. That one can go in there. Now we're gonna open up our vent. So open up that vent. Keep that air flowing. Okay. Now we're gonna put our lid on. So we're gonna put our lid on and then prepare our seasonings. Okay, so I got well water where I live, and I don't particularly trust the well water 100% as far as like keeping it in the food. I'll rinse some rice with it maybe, but as far as like the water that my rice or pasta is going to absorb, or the water that I'm going to drink, I'd rather buy the water. So that's where I'm at right now, or get a better filtration system, which, you know, I haven't yet. So that's where we're at. Oh, and all right, so I'm getting ready to start adding seasonings and ingredients. Let me make sure we're on camera good. All right, so we're about to do seasonings and ingredients. All right, so what we going in with? Going in with corn and some corn off the cob here. Oh man. Okay, there we go. So just finished scraping in some corn off the cob here. Okay, hit that like and subscribe button. All right, so that while that rice is heating up, we're going in with some corn. Now I'm not going to increase or decrease the water for something like corn. Now I don't want to add too much corn because it's going to dilute the rice too much. But I want a nice ratio, so I'm not going to add in all that. Just kind of getting like a stir on it, trying to kind of get like a gauge on maybe like a 50-50 ratio, something similar. But I'm adding in some corn. I don't add it in all the time, but today we're going to do rice and corn, like a rice and corn mix. I'm okay with that. What we going in with next? We're going in with a little bit of granulated onion. We're going to go with some granulated onion next. I'm not going too crazy with this. Not too crazy, because onion will overpower the rice. All right. We're going to go in with next some granulated garlic. Okay. Now I'm bigger off the garlic. I'll put a decent amount of the granulated garlic in there. We're going to finish this container. I got another one in the house, but we're going to finish that container. All right. We're going to go in with some pepper. All right. Some ground black pepper. Usually I might do some like cracked pepper, but the kids don't really like, they don't like the pepper that much. So I'm not going to go too crazy with the pepper. All right. My kids got to eat this. All right. They don't like it. And next we going in with some pink salt, some pink fine grain salt. Eyeball that. All right. If you don't know how to eyeball salt, all right, get involved. Get involved. Figure it out. That's good. All right. You can't take salt out. So if you're scared or you don't know, undersalt the rice. Better to under salt it than over salt it. You can't take it out once you put it in, right? Now, sometimes I'll be feeling like adding in some no salt organic seasoning. So this got a little bit of the onion, it's got a little bit of the garlic, but it's got some other things in there. So I'm gonna throw a little bit of this in there. But it's still gonna be white rice. White rice with some corn in there and some other seasonings. And last but not least, I'm gonna do some extra virgin olive oil. All right. To the point to where it's like when it's cooked, it's able to separate. When you don't add in any oil or some type of lubricant, butter or something like that, sometimes rice, especially if you have too much hydration in there, can be just like stuck together or sticky. And I like my rice, you know, especially when I'm reheating it also. This helps with the reheat. If there's a little bit of oil of some type of, you know, whether it be whatever oil you choose to use, you know, maybe like a tablespoon or so, more or less. But I got my oil in there. I prefer it with a little bit of oil, man. It separates way better when you go to, you know, do your thing with that rice and put it on each individual's plate. And I'll let y'all know one of my secrets as far as cooking rice. After my rice comes off, so I'll cook my rice, bring it to a boil. All right, I'm about to stir it around, so make sure you got all those seasonings and stuff mixed in there real good. But I like to bring my rice to a boil and then let it simmer, and then I'll check it every so often. Once the rice starts looking like it's to the point to where all that most of the water is starting to evaporate, I'll lift the top up, go in and check, and once I don't see any moisture pooling at the bottom, boom, take it off. Take it off right away, and then I'll leave the top on for a few minutes. Let it steam. Let all that rice on the top finish steaming and cooking, because the rice is still cooking when you take it off. Let it finish steaming or cooking, and then once it's done, this is one of my secrets. Once it's done and it's done steaming and cooking, I like to take my rice off and then put it on plates and then just let it air dry. Let it cool down and air dry, and then it starts to get some of that almost like a fried texture when you chew it. If you got that right water ratio, like I said, I'm doing 5 cups of water to 3 cups of rice, and then, like I said, boil it. Once it comes to a boil, I bring it to a simmer. Then once I bring it to a simmer, I let it simmer until I don't see any water pooling around the top of there. I go in, lift the top off, check. If there's no water pooling in the bottom of the rice, boom, take it off. Let it steam for some minutes, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. You don't have to rush that process. You could let it sit there for 10, 15, 20 minutes. But after that, I like to take the top off, spread it maybe on like, for this ratio, maybe like 3 plates, 3 big adult-sized plates, and spread that rice out and just let the steam evaporate off of there so it dehydrates a little bit and then cools down. Once that, let that and lay it kind of flat, maybe like this much, maybe like that thick on the plate, and let that water dehydrate. And once that water starts to dehydrate more, you start to get more of that chewy texture of like a fried rice, almost not hard fried, but almost like, but you get some of that chewy texture, some of that al dente, but more chewier texture of like a fried rice. And that's how you could do that off of just cooking it on a stove, man. And that's been my method, and how I prefer to cook rice, man. That's what I learned over the years, how to get that good texture without actually having to fry something. Because I don't want to have to fry rice all the time. And you don't always get a good fry, and you get rice stuck to the pan and sticking, and it's a mess cleaning up. It's an easy clean, easy cook, and it's just having it dialed in. My rice dialed in. Let me know how y'all do y'all rice. Oh man, where we at? Okay, so we cooking. We waiting for this thing to boil. Waiting for this thing to boil up. Let's check on this flame. And we're gonna open this box up. We're gonna bring some more heat to that rice. All right, so more oxygen creates more heat. Create more heat, we can make this rice boil faster. All right, so we over top of this. Look at that. You see that flame? You see that flame under there? Flame on. But we're giving more oxygen to it, but it's gonna burn through that wood quicker. It's all good. We don't need that much wood tonight. We only boiling this rice. Let me see how we looking in there. All right, so it's heating up. It's heating up, definitely. It's starting to get a bubble or two in that water. Ain't boiling yet, but it's starting to get there. Okay? Look at that flame. All right, but we just making some white rice. Some white rice and corn. Something light. And, whoo, we got some heat coming off of here. All right? But I think it's better, even though it's hot outside, is it better? Let me know if you think it's better to cook outside when it's hot or cook inside when it's hot. Now, it's cooler inside if you got the AC running, but you're going to make it a lot warmer in the house, and then the ACs either have to run hotter or your house is just going to heat up after that. So I think it's better to just cook outside and deal with the heat outside, and then when you're done, you can go in the house and cool off. Let me know y'all method and what y'all would prefer to do, but I'll let you know. You see what I prefer to do. I'd rather cook outside, man. Heat up outside and be done with it outside. Plus you outdoors, man. And I think it's just better to get used to being outdoors, and you know, that's what we do as humans, man. We cook. Okay. Just let that rice do what it needs to do. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, man, how I want to know, how was your holiday? How was your 4th of July? You know, how y'all feel about the 250th anniversary of the United States of America? How you feel about that? You know, what type of global affairs do you care about and what's going on? It's a lot going on. I just checked before I logged on to this live. I just checked the news. It's happening right now. It's happening as we speak right now. It's kicking off. It is kicking off like it just kicked off. If you know what if you know, you know. If you're in the know, it just started kicking off again. It's going down. All right, well, we cooking. So I could close this box up and be a little bit more efficient, but we're gonna let this run a little bit hotter. Oh, the handle's getting hot. See that flame right there? Look at that flame. It's a nice flame right there. Okay, let's see what we're talking about. All right. It's still going. Okay. All right, so we're looking good. We're looking good. You got one? All right, well, you offering, you might as well go get one if that's what you're offering. I have ice. Okay. The wife is offering me ice water right now. Let me know. What is the beverage of choice? What is the ideal beverage if I'm out here cooking on this wood burning stove? What beverage would you prefer? The wife is offering me some ice. That's funny. All right, so we ruffle up some of this wood right here. Yeah, we got a nice flame going in there. We got a nice flame. I'm getting ready to close that box up because we should be running a bit more efficient. We are burning through that wood right there, and I really don't want to be burning through too much wood. I mean, granted, I want to get through this rice, but we're burning a lot hotter and less efficient just because I want to keep that flame on and show y'all what's going on inside that box there. So let's close that up a little bit. Let's see what's going on up here. Now we got a decent amount of water in there. We got a decent amount of rice. So we got 3 cups of rice. We added maybe like a cup and a half of corn, and then we have 5 cups of water. So it's going to take a little bit to boil, a little bit. It's all good. And we're just letting that boil. And so I'm just trying to map out how I want things to go. All right, so lately we've been doing a lot of growing. That's why I haven't been doing so many lives and stuff, because this time of year I'm so busy with growing our own food. Between me working my day job, what pays the bills, all right, I drive a tractor trailer, all right, come home, I jump right in the garden, dive in the garden head first, dive right in the garden, all right. We now have 3 enclosures. I just opened up the 3rd enclosure all the way in the backyard. I got it's like close to 120 tomatoes and peppers back there, and then I just threw a bunch of squash back there and some cucumbers and watermelons. And all right, so I got that enclosure. Then I got my main enclosure. I got a bunch of squash out there, different types of squash, fruit trees. We're finally producing on our apples. We got figs growing. The figs are producing now. Our blackberries, our thornless blackberries are producing. Raspberries are producing right now. Strawberries are producing. Our corns are starting to get some cobs on them. I think that's what you call them, the proper term. But we're finally getting a lot more pears. We're finally getting pears this year on our pear trees. But we got so much growing, and hot peppers is crazy. Because we like to make our own hot sauce. The best hot sauce I ever had was the hot sauce that my wife makes. Excuse me. So if you haven't really felt like you had like a really, really good hot sauce, or you think you might be lacking in the hot sauce department as far as trying different really, really, really good hot sauces, oh my god, homemade hot sauce. No hot sauce that I've ever had compares to homemade hot sauce. So I can't wait to start producing some more of that. My Hungarian wax peppers, they're producing. We got some chili peppers that are producing. We got a bunch of hot peppers that are starting to produce. The California Reapers and ghost peppers and habanero peppers haven't started producing yet here, but they will soon. They're starting to flower. But man, I can't wait to that good hot sauce. It's crazy. But yeah, we're getting some production on things. We've been eating some things. We're getting some potatoes. Potatoes, produced some. Took some of those out the ground. But yeah, the growing season is where I kind of like really like dig in and dive into a specific area of what I'm doing. Call it a hobby, call it whatever you want. We're not selling to outside customers yet, so we can't call it like a farm per se, but we have food forests. So we have 2 food forests. So we got 1 food forest in the front, 1 in the back, and then the other enclosure and all the way in the back is what I call more like a market style garden. And I definitely have to do a lot of canning this year as far as tomatoes. If y'all can, let me know. You got experience with canning, because I don't have the experience with canning, but we're gonna get it this year. It's just starting to come to a boil. All right, but we definitely have to can a lot, because I have so much tomatoes that I have to do some canning this year. That has to happen. All right, let me throw another piece in there. I don't want to go too crazy because it's starting to come to a boil, and once it comes to a boil, I'm gonna throw that cap on there under this so we don't have an open flame. All right. But yeah, it's starting to come to a boil. Okay. Thank you. wife just brought me out a glass of water. might need something in there, right? But yeah, it's just water, just ice water. All right, hot day. Let me see. Anybody got any comments? I don't think we got any comments. All right, you'll have to make yourself a rocket stove. They'll work very well. Now, I have a rocket stove, and that's the thing. So I got a few different types of stoves. So I got a propane stove. That's like an outdoor propane stove. It's just a burner, but that costs money. All right, not that I'm not willing to spend, but I'm trying to be as efficient as I can. If I can get free wood and cook off of free wood, that's my goal. All right, I have a rocket stove. Now, it's technically a rocket stove. It just doesn't burn as efficient as I would like, and it doesn't have a flue. So if I want all this smoke and stuff not burning in my face and not going in the house smelling like I just ran out of a burning building, I don't want to go in the house smelling like a firefighter every night. The rocket stove, I don't like it. Now, granted, you could say, okay, if your wood is seasoned and it burns efficiently, a rocket stove is good. But I bought one rocket stove and it operates like a stove, not so much of a rocket stove. Maybe if I put like a bunch of wood and I put it towards, I stack it like really heavy towards where the burner is and not towards where you put the wood in the stove on the side, then it operates more like a rocket stove. But it's still, most of the wood I have is not fully seasoned. So what is the best and most efficient way to burn wood, especially if it's not like fully seasoned and I don't want to go in the house smelling like a firefighter every night? I like this rocket stove. This burns very efficient, you know, especially with the door closed, and it has a really tall flue. So when I put this stove on a table like this right here, and the flue is even taller, it's maybe like close to like a 5 or 6 foot flue. All that, whatever smoke goes up higher in the air, and it's going away from me for the most part, depending on the way the wind's blowing, but it's going away from me for the most part, and I don't have to smell like smoke every night going in the house. So that's why I like these tent stoves. So that's why I cook on this most often. And I just bought, maybe like 2 months ago, I bought a pizza stove. That one doesn't have a flue, all right, but I cooked outside on it. So we're gonna do some more cooking on that pizza stove. I rotisserie the chicken on there. I spatchcock the chicken on there. I cook a few pizzas on there, and as long as you understand how much wood to put in there to know how hot you should run the pizza stove, because you can burn the pizzas or burn the bread pretty easily. You know, I'm learning it, but yeah, we're gonna cook on that a little bit more often, and yeah, it smokes pretty good. I can close the vents up and the food absorbs some of that smoke pretty good. So I'm gonna smoke some meats on there, do some low and slow cooking on there. But as far as my favorite out of all the wood burning stoves and propane stoves that I have in outdoor cooking, this is my favorite because it's the most efficient. All right, that flue makes a huge difference, and this is a heat source. So if I want to put this in a tent and then close up that tent, I can do that, and this will heat up that tent and cook my food. So let's take a sip of water. It's sparkling water too. She put some sparkling water in there. I do a lot of sparkling water, and we buy a lot of that. All right, so our rice oil. All right, so I'll give y'all a close up and show y'all the rice is starting to boil. Let's get the close up on that. All right, so y'all can see the rice is starting to boil there. So we're gonna get a nice stir on that. All right, I definitely want like a healthy boil on there. We want that boiling like a really rolling boil. So we're gonna open that up. We're gonna open that box up right there. You see that? Look at that. Beautiful. That's a nice flame. I want a rolling boil on that rice. So we're gonna let a little bit more oxygen in there, get the rolling boil, and then we're gonna put that cap on. I got that cap right there. We're gonna put the cap on right there. Look at that. Now we're starting to come to that rolling boil right there that I'm talking about. You see how I open that box? We added a little bit more. We added some more oxygen, or a lot more oxygen. So a lot more oxygen is in there. We got that rolling boil. So now we're gonna put that cap on. All right, let's put that cap on and then let that start to simmer. All right, let's do it. Let me put this on the tripod. Okay, so now let's close this box up. Gotta close this box up. We're gonna run a little bit more efficient. Let's put this cap on. This shouldn't be hot. Oh, it still is hot next to that box. Okay, grab this, put that cap on, and that's going to allow that to just simmer now, because we're not getting so much heat because we just put a cap on there. All right, and that's how I'm gonna do the rice. So now, all that flame, all that heat, could make some of that rice stick and burn to the bottom. So I gotta get a nice stir on there now. I get a nice stir as that heat starts to reduce, so we don't get sticking on the bottom. And some people like that. They call it the what do they call it? The bacao. Let me know if y'all familiar. You know, you like that hard part of the rice on the bottom when you overcook the rice, or you're running too hot. They call it the bacao. You know, certain maybe Caribbean people or Caribbean places, Caribbean countries, they like that hard rice that sticks on the bottom and it's kind of hard. They call it the bacao. Bacao. That's what I keep being told. It's called bacao. You know, I'm indifferent to it. I don't really care for it. I can live without it. I don't hate it, but I can live without it. It's not my favorite part. All right. But now I flatten that rice out. Boom. And now we letting that thing simmer. Put the top back on, let it simmer. That's a hard simmer. We're still getting a lot of heat. I ain't gonna lie, we're getting a lot of heat. We're gonna have to close that vent. We're getting a lot of heat still. So let's close that vent in the front. Reduce that heat. Okay? But we still are boiling. We're still boiling. So let's not get it messed up. We're still boiling in there, and we're just gonna let that simmer. I just closed up the vents in the front so we can reduce that heat right there. And then we got the cap on there, okay? So that's how I choose to reduce my heat when I'm making something like rice and I bring it to a boil. All right, I put that cap on there so we don't get that full flame. All right, we're getting heat, but not that full heat, and we're simmering. All right, close that vent in the front. And I could choose to close the vent on the flue. So we got the flue. All right. I could choose to close that vent on that flue and even run even cooler. So I got a few different options to reduce that heat. All right. But this is how we running right here. Hello.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Are you up the street? I'm charging. I just want to know where you get those big bags. Because you have mulch that I need to bag up.
The big bags right there.
Yeah.
I mean, I bring those from my job. My job sells them in yards, like the big bags like that.
How much?
I'm not sure. I get employee pricing,
Yeah.
so it's a little bit different. But yeah, my job sells them in like the big bags, so it's cheaper to get it like that. But then you have to get it delivered, so that makes it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's no problem.
Okay, bye.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.
All right. All right. Sorry about that. I had some people stop by. Some people just stopped by and was asking me about the big bags of mulch right next to this wood I got right here. They said, "Oh, where you get them big bags of mulch from right there?" So I got these mulch piles. They said, "Where you get them big bags of mulch?" I said, "From my job." So my job, while this rice is cooking, because we still simmering, we still got some liquid up there that has to absorb. So I get them from my job. All right, these big bags, and they got the leaves, pine needles, and all that good stuff. And they chop it down, and then they'll deliver it just like that. And that will break down, but it has all the stuff that you might not want in there. All right, then you got stuff like this, the big bags of mulch, and it can be dyed. So this is just brown mulch right here. So you can get brown mulch, you can get black mulch, all right, but this is big bags of brown mulch right there. and I bring it to my house and get it delivered, or I deliver it, and I take it off the truck myself. So that's what somebody was just stopping by, asked me about the mulch. Okay, well, we still cooking this rice. All right, still cooking this rice here. So our rice is simmering. Y'all seen that puff of smoke come out of there like that? Y'all saw that? All right. Our rice is doing good. It's simmering, and just let that do its thing. Maybe about 10 minutes off the simmer. I don't think we. Let's check our inside our box. So we still got our coals in there. So we're still running hot. We're just not running as hot as like we got a flame in there. You see, as soon as I open that box up and start letting some more of the oxygen in there, that flame lit right back up. So we don't close that back up because we don't want so much heat. So I like how we're able to control the temperature a little bit by closing up the vent. So we close the door, close the vent, and put the cap back on, and we're able to bring this rice from a boil down to a simmer just off the coals right there. Okay, so it's a beautiful thing to be able to control the temperature cooking on a wood burning stove right here. That's another reason why I really like this wood burning stove right here. All right, we're not promoting any brands, but to be able to control, I got a flue right here that has a damper, so I can control the temperature with this damper right here on this flue. I can control the temperature with the cap, putting the cap over top of the flame, and then I can control the temperature with this damper in the front and close the vents in the front. That's a beautiful thing. And I can open the door, so I can open the door and just give this a lot more oxygen. It'll run a lot hotter if I just open the door. So that's technically, it's 4 different ways I can control the temperature to get the desired result cooking on this wood burning stove. So this is why I really like this one the most. This is my favorite wood burning stove right here, out of the ones that I have. Now granted, there's a lot better ones out there, but this is just a basic tent stove. I spent like $113 maybe on this. $113, and I'm able to cook for free, cook outside, enjoy what I'm doing, enjoy nature, enjoy the weather. You know, feel like I'm doing something worthwhile. You know, my family gets to eat. I like it, man, and I'm learning. Just learning to do more, man. Doing more outside, outdoors. Just learning to cook with wood, learning to process wood, learning, what types of woods and how dry or wet certain woods are that operate more efficiently. And we just learning. At least me. I can speak for me. I can't speak for you and y'all. I can speak for myself there. But we're doing all right. Okay. So far, so good. That's how we looking right now. We're still simmering. That's a good thing. You see, we're not cooking so fast that this water would have been absorbed and we'd be burning on the bottom right now. So I don't want to stir this yet. We're going to let this continue to cook, and once that water starts to absorb and we don't see those bubbles on the top, because that's what I'm waiting for right now. We're going to cook this until we don't see those bubbles on the top. Once we don't see those bubbles on the top, we're going to remove that lid, and I'm going to check with my spoon. I'm going to grab my wooden spoon over there. We're going to check with the wooden spoon to see what's looking like on the bottom. And if it's not pooled on the bottom, if there's not water pooled on the bottom, then we're going to remove this pan from the flame, from the heat, and then we're going to let it sit and stand. Okay? Teach you how to cook some rice. Some people only know how to cook rice on a rice cooker, man. And I'm somebody who, I've only used a rice cooker one time in life, and don't care for it, man. I don't care for it, man. I know how to cook traditional food. I cook traditionally. I cook rice on a stove every single time, and I don't use a rice cooker. I don't own a rice cooker. I don't use a rice cooker. I don't care for a rice cooker. I cook on that wood burning stove or in the house on an electric stove. That's all I have. That's my only options. So I get good at the basics. That's, that's my advice. Get good at the basics. I'm not trying to necessarily rely on technology too much. So what happens if it's not at your disposal? You're in an environment where you don't have that technology. You don't have the rice cooker. What do? You're trying to cook rice and you don't have a rice cooker. What do? Yeah, you like a fish out of water. Yeah, and I'm not gonna skip a beat. That's what I'm talking about. All right, so we're getting there. We're gonna continue to keep cooking. We're getting there. We're gonna take a look at inside this box right here. Why not? Because we over here. Just take a look. Keep it interesting. All right. We got coals in there, and if I kept this open, that flame might kick up. It might. I don't know. It might. We're down to pretty much coals, so that flame might not kick up. But you can see we still going. That thing is still running hot. If I were to stick up any piece of wood in there, it'll catch really quick, really fast. But I wouldn't want to do that because we're simmering right. Oh, you see that flame? You see it? You seen it up top? We're kicking up. That flame kicked up. That flame kicked up in there. Oh, you see it right there. See that flame going up that flue in the back? You see it? That flame is going up that flue. Just by opening up that door, you can see how much more heat that generates. So I want to reduce some of that oxygen so we can keep that temperature down so that we can continue to simmer that rice. But you can see that flame, visible active flame right there. Yeah, we don't want that. Okay. Yeah, I don't want that flame. Too much heat coming off there. Just let it simmer. Just let this rice simmer here. Ooh. It's hot now. Now this rice is getting somewhere. Okay. Now we're not completely even. It's not a completely even surface. So that's why I got a little bit of rocking back and forth. But good thing we got legs right here that can adjust a little bit. So the legs, because they'll close up and collapse under the wood burning stove. So here and there, if I'm getting rocking or if it's not completely even, I can kind of collapse down the leg a little bit or open up the leg a little bit more to try to get as even as I can. But it is what it is. If anything, I can just turn my pot around to the other side and try to get a little bit more even on my cooking too. That's always an option. If I'm not holding on to the pan, then I can turn it to where my handle right here is running closer to this flue right here. But if the handle's running closer to the flue, it's gonna make the handle hotter, and then I can't handle it. So it's good to have oven mitts of some sort, some way to be able to grab that handle. If you gotta rotate that handle towards that flue, we're just simmering right now. So I could probably stand to get a little bit more heat. Cause it's simmering, but it's a light simmer. So I think we're gonna run it a little bit hotter. I think so. Let's run it a little bit hotter, because usually this rice is done by now. If I'm cooking in the house and cooking way more efficiently, on the electric stove, this rice is about done. Now I don't need to rush it because it's simmering, but if I want to get a little bit closer to, if I were to be cooking in the house, then yes, I can run it just a little bit hotter, a little bit. I don't want to go too hot for sure, but I can run a little bit hotter. Let me just make sure we're fully over that cap. There we go. Do I want to stick more wood in there to make this run hotter? No, I don't. There's coals in there. And maybe we can close that up and just let some more airflow. We don't need flame, but let's see. Let's open up this vent right here and see if we get more of that desired temperature versus just having to keep that door all the way open. That's a lot of oxygen. So keep that vent open. Not adding any more pieces of wood though, because if we add any more pieces of wood, it's going to end up burning what's in this pan right here. And I don't want to have to do that. We don't want that at all. Making some good rice. We need all that water absorbed in that rice. All right, so we did three cups of rice, 5 cups of water. Hey, BK, so man, what's going on? All right, we just making some rice, something light. Okay, wood burning stove. We're almost there. We getting there. We just letting that. We got a little bit of simmering on top, letting that water finish in there. All right, but we also got to do. Okay, seasoning. It's definitely not seasoned, but we got to put more wood on it. You see all these pallets right here? We got to get all this wood stacked back on these pallets. I had somebody come by. You see the road right there? Had somebody come by, saw all this wood stacked on these pallets, and was like, "Yo, what are you selling that? What are you selling that wood for?" And they bought some wood. I got to process more wood. Damn. Yeah, this live is not running clean, man. So we're gonna have to process some more wood, and we got more. We need to process. All right. So we still got all this wood we got to process right here. So I'm getting ready to start bringing back out the chainsaw. All right, it's been hot as Satan's what? So I haven't been really cutting with the chainsaw lately, but yeah, we got to process all this wood right here so that we can do more cooking on that wood burning stove and bringing that wood for cooking and heating up the home. All right, so we got to process this wood and season this wood for heating the home. But as you can see right here, we still got plenty of rounds, and then we got all this wood out here. All right, so we've been processing. I've been processing and stacking these cords of wood right here. All right, now these are over here drying, doing what they need to do. All right, it's gonna take some time though. It's gonna take some time for these to dry. So, but in the meantime, between time, we gotta still keep processing, stacking, doing what we need to do so that we can continue to have free fuel. You feel me? All right. But we still got more. Still got more. We got plenty more to get through. We got to get through all this wood because we right next to the house. So we can't leave this here. We got to process all this wood, but it's free wood. Free wood. All right. We got. Damn, it's live, man. It's live. Keep acting up.